Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum viewers. I'm your host SM Hali, presenting another edition of Defense and Diplomacy. The twin sessions of China are still being discussed. They are generally held in the first week of March every year. What is its significance? What are the important things that have been discussed in this? And what the world has to look forward to other than the Chinese nation to these twin sessions. These are some of the aspects which we'll discuss. But before I introduce my guest, I would like to mention, viewers, that today we complete 8 years of airing Defense and Diplomacy. So we'd like to thank all those viewers who have had the patience to watch this program. Coming to our guest, we are honored to have in the studio today Mr. He Bin, who is a Chinese journalist based in Islamabad. Welcome to the show, sir. We have Mr. Rauf Hassan, a very renowned analyst and who keeps his finger on the pulse, especially of China and Pakistan relations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Let's start with you, He Bin. Perhaps you may like to highlight for our viewers what is the significance of these twin sessions in China.
Yes, the annual, two sessions is very important for the Chinese, but this year is very special.
Would you first tell us what are the twin sessions, the NPC and the CPPCC?
The twin session is the NPC and the CPPCC. The NPC, is the highest organ of the state power, and the CPPCC is the united front organization with the high with the high
attendance of the people, of the representatives of the people.
Yes, with the wide range representatives. Mm-hmm. So, and NPC about 3,000 represents from the whole country. The CPPCC is about 2,000 represents.
Actually, viewers, both these names are tongue twisters,
right.
And that is why even in the Chinese language, so we refer to them in short as the twin sessions. Please go ahead.
Right. And maybe people know about the functions of the NPC because it's the high organ of the state power. People maybe wonder what's the function of the CPPCC.
Exactly.
So simply say that we can use the 3 words. The first word is the political consultations. Mm-hmm. The second is the democratic supervision.
Okay.
The third is the the executive participations. These 3 words represent the whole functions of the CPPCC.
But He Bin, as NPC is represented, as you said, by about 3,000 functionaries who are elected from the people.
Yeah.
Who are the 2,000 or about 2,000 participants in the CPPCC?
Yeah, right. The CPPCC is the I just said before is the united organizations.
But who are these people?
The people is all intellectuals, professors, expert on every sectors of the social, and also some represents from the minority nationality.
Okay.
They were the high ranging representative.
Okay, thank you. So Rauf, since we are on the subject of these twin sessions, there is some misunderstanding in the minds of people who follow the Westminster style of democracy or the US style of democracy. They do not understand the Chinese system of democracy, and they think that probably the system is not democratic. Whereas both you and He Bin know for sure that the Chinese style of democracy is unique to its own people. It has been evolved over the years to suit its own society and its own needs. So would you care to elaborate that a little bit, sir?
Well, thank you, Ali sir. The fact is that it's a different kind of democracy. It's a different kind of system that caters to the specific homegrown needs of the Chinese people. If I were to point out two special features of this system, then it is efficiency and involvement.
Okay.
And these are the two features basically which are missing in most of the underdeveloped world or semi-developed world. We have systems basically which have with the passage of time become flawed in certain ways, which have stopped to deliver, or let's put it this way, that the requirements and demands, approaches, attitudes of the people have changed to a point where I think the systems do not effectively and comprehensively reflect those needs and translate them into delivery at the grassroots level. If I were to discuss Pakistan, for example, I think maybe temperamentally and need-wise, we are also closer to this kind of system, based on efficiency and delivery, rather than on the theoretical concepts of what democracy and what democratic dispensation is all about. The Chinese have tailored the system to the specific needs of their people, and I think the success of the system is representative of its effectiveness and delivery. And this is the way I would like to put it. I think it's a remarkable achievement. It's one of the most remarkable achievements, of the modern times.
Exactly, and unfortunately it is misunderstood. But Hebin, correct me if I'm wrong, the representatives to the NPC, they are deputies who have been elected by the people.
Yeah.
And then the deputies, they further elect the higher echelon and so on. But in all this, there is a supervision, and the people who have elected them, they monitor the performance of the electees to make sure that they are on the right track. Am I right, sir?
Yeah, right. The representatives elected by the people, then they again elected another, standing committee, and standing committee also, elected, the leaders.
So there is supervision and accountability at various levels.
Yes, and I think when we talk about the NBC, we can't ignore the Chinese Communist Party. So
Yes.
they supervise every step, and everything match to the law. So we have the law about how
Yes.
to organize the
Exactly.
NBC.
And the Chinese Communist Party, if I am not wrong, Rauf Hassan Saab, is not one person. It is a party with its Politburo, which has all these experts, and they supervise, they have the overall supervision.
No, absolutely. You see, it is. Let me not use the word democratic, but it's a very representative body, in the sense, that the roots of power go down right to the grassroots.
Right.
That is it, and it is from there that the power structure begins to emerge till it reaches, the CPC, and you have a president elected. And look at the smooth and efficient manner in which power has transited from one person to the other in China. There is a system, and it's a very efficiently working system. It's a very delivery-oriented system, and it's performance-based system. It is not that my son is going to be the next prime minister, or your brother is going to be the next president, or something like that. No, there is no such thing there at all. If you perform, you continue moving up in that system. It has been so structured, that there are benchmarks, specific benchmarks, and each benchmark, carries a certain potential, which is embedded in you, and then you continue moving up. So the person who is the president of Pakistan today, president of China today, he has worked at the grassroots level, and every leader of China has had exposure and experience of working at the grassroots level. That means that he is aware, sensitive, and conscious of the problems that the people of China at that level face. Consequently, he is geared to remedying those problems. That is why you had such a remarkable transition to progress. No other country in the world, possibly can match that. It is simply because of the fact that a specific elite component of the Chinese population is not geared to becoming the leaders. Even if you are a worker, a factory worker, even if you work on the lathe machine or something like that, potentially tomorrow you can be the president of China.
Absolutely.
And I think this is a remarkable thing.
Take the example of President Xi Jinping. As a young man, he worked in a farm. He worked on manure fields.
In the
He's-
army.
Yes.
in the army, and he has actually tilled the soil with his own
Yeah.
hands, so he understands the value of labor.
Yes, about the 30 years.
It's remarkable.
And not only that, he understands what the issues are, what the problems are, how the poor people in China, live their daily life, and how can he contribute to remedying their problems. This is it. Basically, a sensitization over a long period of time before you ascend the throne. So that is why they've been able to deliver.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
without that exposure, one cannot really appreciate the problems of the masses. But tell me, Heben, what about the 5-year plan which is generally presented in the NPC? And I believe this year there is a lot of emphasis on innovation-driven development. Would you care to elaborate that, sir?
Yes, the 13th 5-year plan had been passed last year, October 29, I think, by the Standing Committee of the NPCs. Right now, according to the rule of the conference, they have to deliver this to the NPC for approving. So I think the most important of this NPC is, I think, to my knowledge, is the 15th 5-year plans will pass, because it's the guideline for the future 5 years. According to the 13th 5-year plan, China will growing on the moderate prosperous society deal 2020. So
Exactly. In fact, the benchmark which has been set is that the 13th 5-year plan is extremely important because this is going to terminate in 2020, and the benchmark for 2020 is that by 2020 the GDP of
be
2010 will be doubled.
will double and the per capita of the person
Exactly.
people. That people always, the Chinese people always have want to set up a goal. We call it the China dream. So, and I think the 13th 5-year plan is a part of the dream. So, and when after this the beginning year of the 13th 5-year plan is this year,
Right.
2016. So
And-
after that this plan passed, when did it pass, we can go ahead along this guideline.
Okay.
So,
But Rauf Hassan Saab, Prime Minister Li Keqiang, when he gave the work report for last year's performance of the Chinese government and more important the Chinese economy, he again set some benchmarks and he declared that the rate of growth will be between 6.5 to 6.7. But people should not be misled by the percentage. Instead, look at it that this amounts to the growth of 1 trillion per year. So it's remarkable. Would you share your thoughts on this, sir?
Yeah, basically there has been a certain downslide, in the percentage GDP growth of China. But for a country which houses over 1 billion people, and has shown a remarkable sort of upward swing in barely 3 decades, I think it is another credible achievement, that they've been able to maintain it at even 7%. And in the next 10 years, they are envisaging, as you said very correctly, that it's going to be doubled. So in terms of percentages, yes, maybe feel that it's come down from 11 to 7%, but in terms of grassroots development, it is enormous. I mean, I've traveled in the last 4 to 5 years. I've traveled extensively in China, and I've personally seen the welfare projects, which are government-driven in China, and on account of which, ordinary people have benefited and continue to benefit.
And
basically,
Haben mentioned that the aspiration of the Chinese leadership is to build a moderately prosperous society. But in a nutshell, it means that the poverty level is being diminished so that more people are going to enter the middle class rather than remain confined to the lower class.
This is true. See, there are 3 basic yardsticks. These plans, these projects, and these programs of the Chinese government, they're based on very scientific research. They're not just. It isn't just that one fine morning, somebody gets up and say, all right, let's do this, which is very haphazard. It caters to short-term needs of the Chinese. It caters to the midterm needs of the Chinese. It caters to the long-term needs of the Chinese. So basically, in every plan, every project that they unfurl, these things are taken care of. That even if there is a setback, which obviously there's always a potential for, that there are things built in which will take care of that, which will absorb the shock, and the engine will continue to roll. So this is what we have seen, that there has not been a year in the past 3 decades, that China has actually gone beyond the least minimum, that it had set for itself. And for an economy as big as that, it is the world's second largest economy today, and growing. I think it's really that the only word that I can think of, that it's a remarkable achievement. And it also, in the context of this region, basically, there are 4 benchmarks, that it caters to. All this that is happening, basically it is, and I think this is an indication of the cardinal Chinese thinking, of a win-win thing. It is the repast of what is generally referred to as the zero sum, that my victory is your loss and your victory is his loss, or his victory is my loss. Chinese don't think of those lines at all, and this is why they were the first ones to move from a geostrategic to geoeconomic. Exactly. They said it has to be for everybody it should be a win-win situation. And the real power of a state does not lie in the ballistic missiles or the atomic power that it has. It lies in the economic sustainability and growth of that country. Right. And this is what the Chinese introduced to the world. And this is what they're working on. So the 4 benchmarks, that everything that the Chinese do, that it really caters to, and I'm going to read that, it's a multipolar world.
Yes.
It is no longer a unipolar world. It is gradually moving to becoming a multipolar world. America is not the only power. The Chinese are, the Japanese are there, the Russians are emerging very quickly, India is emerging very quickly.
Brazil has come up
in a big way, and Thailand, Korea, and all these economies are coming up in a very, so it caters to that, and it caters to the economic globalization.
Right.
There is this interconnectivity. You are dependent on the country next door. You are dependent on the country, which is 5,000 kilometers away. There is this economic globalization, that the interests of everyone living everywhere in this world, in this world, are somehow interconnected or interdependent. So it caters to that. And the third is their cultural diversity.
Yes.
It caters to that, and that's a very important thing. And regional integration. Now, this is the most important thing for Pakistan. Because CPAC, as I think, we will be discussing later in the program.
Discussing it in little detail.
This regional integration is that one component, which the Chinese have done remarkably well, And, by introducing this one belt, one road concept, they have tried to integrate the entire region. 21st century is generally referred to as the Asian continent's century. And I think the initiatives taken by the Chinese, are possibly going to be that singular contribution, which shall actually turn this into Asia's century. We'll be discussing it later, but this regional integration, we would like to...
Point well made. All these 4 benchmarks are extremely important. But Brother Haben, coming back to my original question of innovation-driven technology, you see, the slowing down of the Chinese economy has perforce enable the planners to get into more, shall we say, technologies which are innovative. Waste is reduced, or in certain cases removed totally, and then innovation is introduced in all the technologies, whether it is the internet, whether it is production, whether it is services, or whether it is helping out and raising the standards of the lives of the people, including environment. Would you care to comment on that?
Yes. And according to the Premier Li Keqiang's report, this year's GDP's growth will be from 6.5 to 7 percentages. It looks like reasonably slow, but I think we had to give them a good the research or good evaluations for this speed. And people know Li Keqiang also mentioned China will promote, the high-tech, technology, economy. And they also have the word, made in China 2025,
Yes.
and also Internet Plus.
Yes.
So that means, every, even, the economy is a little bit slowed down, but it's a good time to adjust Chinese economic structure and adjust, our policy to promote, innovation and high-tech technology.
I think it's a fair observation. So let's talk now, Rauf Saab, about this energy revolution which China is talking about, especially in light of the problems which the West has introduced, but the Chinese are taking a very serious note of global warming and the ecological problems that the world is facing.
Well, I think, like I said, there are three inbuilt sort of levels to every Chinese plan, which is, catering to the short-term needs, the medium-term needs, and the long-term needs. Energy is becoming increasingly scarce in the world. And it isn't just Pakistan that is afflicted with this curse. It is a large number of countries in the world. If you look at Pakistan, for example, we hardly did anything about it for almost 2 decades. Consequently, the production capacity was almost 50% of what was needed to run this country. A lot of things happened as a consequence. Most importantly, the way the industry suffered in this country, the way our exports suffered, and our growth rates they went down. Chinese are a little wiser than that. Obviously, before it sort of catches up with them, they have gone into making plans, so that this additional need would be met.
And to support ecology.
Ecology also. What is this One Belt One Road basically? It is primarily, the growth rate. When the Chinese growth rate started slowing, they sat down and discussed it, extensive discussions, and they realized that they needed additional markets in the world. And they needed markets, that they could get to by spending less. And this One Belt One Road is a translation of that dream. They wanted their growth rate to not just continue at the old pace, but even become stronger in certain respects. Consequently, they instead of going over 7, 8, 9,000 kilometers, they wanted shorter routes. So Gwadar is that. So
the China-Pakistan
economic corridor is that. And similarly with every other country in the region, they have connectivity, they're building this connectivity so that their own growth rate, their own economic compulsions are met. And this is, like any two states, when they cooperate, it isn't a one-way traffic, it's a two-way traffic basically. If the Chinese are investing here, obviously they have their own needs also. Of course, we have our needs, and we're very grateful to the Chinese, that they've done it. But at the same time, they have their needs. They have their economic compulsions. They need more markets. They need cheaper markets. They need to reduce the distance to get to those markets.
So I'll visit the CPEC in a short while.
Yeah.
If you allow me to ask Kevin.
Please.
Yesterday, your foreign minister, Wang Yi, he held a press conference after this NPC session on the sidelines. And regarding this One Belt, One Road, with Brother Rauf just mentioned, if you recall, the words he used was that this is a China-led project, but the world reaps the benefits.
Yeah, right.
It's a very remarkable thought. I would like to hear your opinion.
If you read, the 13th five-year plan, you maybe find the One Belt, One Road right down in this, these reports, the plans. So if you can see from one belt originated from Xi'an, Urumqi, Istanbul, Dusseldorf to Rotterdam and Venice. And one road you can find, Guangzhou, Kuala Lumpur, Nairobi, Athens, Venice. So if you draw these points with the land, you can find the CPEC in the center of this, picture.
Exactly. In fact, it's a horseshoe.
Yeah.
And the CPEC completes the circle.
Right. It's very important. That's why you can say CPEC is located in the center of the belt and the road. it has the key important position. And that's why, One Belt, One Road has a great link to the CPEC. The CPEC is the both, not for just for the, we can see another, Belt and Road will benefit regions with 63% of the global population, with the 29% of the world output, and 2.1 trillion US dollars in GDPs. So that's why, we can say One Belt, One Road is benefit the whole, Euro, Asia continental.
Absolutely, and Africa too.
And Gwadar,
Yeah.
Gwadar is the takeoff.
Yes.
Is the
Right.
takeoff for all
Very
this.
important.
Basically, there's the central point of this growth network, which the Chinese are building with the help of so many other countries.
And if
That
you,
is it.
And if you notice, there are two takeoff points. For the CPEC, Gwadar is the takeoff point from here, but then it terminates at Kashgar.
Kashgar.
And Kashgar is the takeoff for the One Belt, One Road into Central
Into
Asia,
Central Asia.
into
Right.
Europe,
Europe.
and into
And
Africa.
Africa. yeah.
Africa, that's right.
That's
But
true.
the principal takeoff point is Gwadar, basically, and it's going to be it's going to be an immensely important development for Pakistan, because Pakistan will have another port, and that it can make use of. Pakistan will have a port that it could actually earn money from. Pakistan will have a port that it could develop further, to back up actually a benchmark in this entire region. That's
And in
a mark.
fact, while we are on the topic of the importance of Gwadar, the beauty is that its location is such that it's going to not only service the people or the traders of Pakistan, but also China, but also Afghanistan, also Central Asia, and then the people who are coming from the sea, because it's a deep sea
This
port,
region, yeah.
they'll be able to bring their goods and transport them all to all these Central Asian and Chinese regions.
And the infrastructure development, will complement that. Will complement that. We will have roads in this country, in the next 3 to 5 years, which will be compatible with anything in the world.
In fact, it's,
So
it's an array of a network which includes the roads, railway, also the oil and gas pipeline, and the allied industries with it of refineries, of special economic zones, of trading centers,
Right.
and so on. So it's a huge project.
Right.
How do you look at it?
The most important is, we had to, think, the CPEC is not only a line,
Yes.
a single line. It's actually is a complex economic program.
It's a mega project.
Yeah, along, the CPEC, there are a lot of, free zones, economic zones, a lot of, I think factories and everything, I think.
In fact, all the amenities of life, which include health, which include education, which include trade, which include innovation and research and development.
Yes, it benefit for, for not for the China, Pakistan, it benefit for the whole area of this, whole country of this area. So that's very important. That's the meanings.
And besides that, so part of the One Belt, One Road project is the maritime Silk Route, which is extremely important. So would you share your thoughts on that?
Just a couple of words, on CPEC also. Basically, it is not like my friend has very correctly described. It's not a one single line. It's not a single road. It's a platform for comprehensive cooperation network. It's for that, knitting the countries of the region together. So I think I think a lot of effort must have gone into envisaging this, into sort of envisioning all this, that this is the way you could actually improve the connectivity among the countries of the region to the benefit of each country. It's very important, because there are very few in the world who think like that. I mean, if I would think of my own benefit. You think generally one would think of one's own benefit, but it's very, very, very rare, that a person or a country would think of collective benefit. And these are times which are for collective benefit. You have to integrate countries. You have to integrate needs of these countries, so that everybody is in it and makes a contribution, to sort of take it further.
In fact, if you allow me, the Foreign Minister of China, Wang Yi, again in his press conference yesterday, used a very interesting term. He said that some people think that the One Belt, One Road is an exploitation. It is not. It is not a Monroe doctrine of exploitation. Instead, he said that it is a sharing and innovation.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
also to the benefit of the entire world, not just the region.
Ultimately, the entire world.
Yes.
To begin with, by the region, and then it sort of goes on to the world. The maritime Silk Route, basically, China has had problems, in South China Sea, and these are historical problems. It has a problem with Japan. It has a problem with Korea,
Philippines, Taiwan,
etc. Taiwan primarily. The one way the Chinese think of it basically is to somehow combine or integrate their interests through economic needs and economic compulsions. And I think this is the principal thought process behind developing a concept of this kind, a project of this kind. So,
in fact, if you allow, what they are endeavoring, the Chinese, are that they are making all these people as stakeholders.
Absolutely, this is what I was coming to. This is exactly what I said, that combined economic needs of these countries, would lead ultimately to their integration. That means, that these differences, which have kept them apart for decades, basically, would gradually evaporate over a period of time, and the needs of the people will compel the governments of these respective countries, to work together with each other, to one another. So this is the principal concept, behind the transition from geostrategic to geoeconomic, because geostrategic may not benefit you, me, or him. It may benefit countries, but geoeconomic actually is for the benefit of each individual of that country, because the benefits of that will go to the grassroots. Consequently, it's a more durable concept, it's a more sustainable concept, it's a more beneficial concept, for the people of the country. So this is the Chinese are applying the same concept, in the South China Sea also, so that the traditional historical differences, which have kept the people of these countries apart, these are removed, these are handled in a very positive and very pragmatic manner. And over a period of time, the countries of the region could be integrated, and they begin to work together. So it's a beautiful concept. I think it really is going to work.
Indeed. But tell me, Brother Haben, maybe our viewers may like to hear from you. The two instruments that have been put in place for the One Belt, One Road project. One is the Asia Infrastructure Investment Development Bank, the AIIB, and the other is the Silk Road Fund. And both are now in place, and they have become operational.
Yes.
So what are your ideas about this?
Yes, I think, I just added, my friends a little bit about the Chinese performance in the world economy. So I think in China, they carry out a new doctrine for the and a new doctrine of the world order. So they want to, the whole country join together to make this world better and best, not explode others from Euro and from other.
Not a zero-sum game, but a win-win situation.
That's a little bit addition to my friend. Another, I continued, the questions you asked. And,
the AIIB and the Silk Road Fund.
I think China will promote, the economic strategy of the win-win, game, step by step. The first is you have your bank. So we establish the two banks, just like you said, is Silk Road Fund and the AIIBs. So I think that's the very important step to carry out our cooperation in the future. People maybe need money, need investment. So through this bank, they can get the money. They can get the capitals. So and
perhaps you may like to tell our viewers that this money which the AIIB is going to hand out is not just for a project, but it's for the infrastructure. That's
the conclusion of
You remember that old proverb that if a man is hungry, you give him a fish, he will not starve for a day. But
Right.
if you teach him how to fish,
Right,
he will
right.
not starve for the rest of his
Right,
life.
right,
So
right.
that is the principle of the AIIB.
Yeah, infrastructure, questions is very important in, some developing countries. China, experienced, the development from the developing country to, a little bit, developed, the road. They know how to develop, a countries.
Exactly.
So,
And they have passed through the same phase.
right, the same road. So.
One final question, if you permit, Brother Rauf.
I'll just say one sentence.
Okay, okay.
The Chinese are different from the rest of the world, that they have actually put their money where their mouth is. This is the bank, this is the financial assistance concept, is because if they say, so they're backing it up, with financial support and all that.
Then on that note, I'll have to finish this discussion. Viewers, we have talked about the twin sessions of China, and we come to the conclusion that the entire world's interest lies in it because the Chinese policies and plans which are being approved are mainly for the benefit of not just China, but the region and the entire world. We wish the Chinese the best of luck in all their projects because ultimately the world will benefit. I'd like to thank you, Brother Haben. I'd like to thank you, Brother Rauf.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure listening to both of you. Viewers, keep watching us. Hope to see you in the next program, inshallah. Allah Hafiz.